Okay, good. So let's get started. Now, the next 60 minutes, I'm going to talk about the things that you need to do with your website. For most businesses, getting a website up and running itself is a big task. But things have changed a lot in the last couple of years. Your actual job starts once you've launched your website. So if you want your website to be successful, there's a lot of things that you need to look at, implement, and at the same time measure success of your website. Most businesses get really excited of launching their website, and in the first couple of weeks they do a lot of things, and then things just start dropping off. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about what are the things you got to look at when you launch your website. What is important, why why you should look at measuring a couple of elements on your website. What are the things you can do on your website to drive traffic? What are the key factors in making your website successful? We're also going to talk about a bit about social media and how you should actually use social media on your website. And there's a lot of talk around search engine optimization and some of the common things that we tend to assume which may not really make sense to your website. So we're going to look at all this stuff. Now, before I start the slides, I just want to have an understanding as to how many of you all actually have a website, or how many of you all are planning to have a website. So it's really important to understand, because based on that, you would see the relevance of this webinar. Great. So before I actually go on to slides, let me just play a short video and tell you exactly, most of us are used to shopping online. Okay, and a lot of us, we just go and set up an e-commerce store and expect the dollars to flow in. But that doesn't happen, mainly because we make it difficult for customers to buy from us. Okay, I'm just going to play a short video. I hope it works fine. Just give me 1 minute.
Hey, is that thanks?
You sure?
Yeah.
Username?
Nick M?
No.
NM 1983?
No.
Zandy Pops?
Sorry.
Zandy Pops?
No, okay, don't worry, I'll help. What's your postcode?
Oh, it's GU749ZT.
Welcome back, Nick Forever.
Oh, right.
Please listen carefully to this bread license agreement before continuing with your purchase of a loaf of bread. If you do not, blah, blah, blah. You also agree not to use any bread-based products for any purposes prohibited by United Kingdom law, including without limitation design, development, manufacture of missiles, chemical, nuclear or biological weapons.
Tick.
I'm afraid you've timed out.
What? Sorry. Hello? Excuse me. Oh, yeah, hey.
Just one loaf, sir.
Yeah, we just...
What's your username?
It's Nick Forever, but number 4, not the...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to check that you're a real person. Could you say that for me?
That's not even a word.
Okay, how about this one?
You know what, forget it.
Or this one?
Hippo Potter Nice.
You're in.
Great, I'm in.
£8.85.
It's supposed to be 98 pence.
Plus express delivery.
What's that?
Oh, well, express delivery. It's fast. So there's, standard.
Standard.
Standard delivery, that's £4.99.
Why?
Bread insurance. You didn't untick the don't decline bread insurance option.
You know what, I think I'll risk it.
It is quite close to the sell-by date.
Don't care.
98 pence it is. If you want to pop back in 5 business days, it'll be ready for your collection.
Well, I need it now, obviously.
Oh, okay. You want the take-home today price? Well, that's £3.27.
You know what, I'm going to go.
Come back soon.
I won't.
Okay, that shows sometimes it could be so frustrating on a website, especially when you try to go and buy something online and you've been asked too many questions and so on. So if you have an e-commerce store, you got to look at how people are, how difficult is it for someone to buy a product from your website. Maybe a good thing is to get someone who's never gone to your website to go and try to buy something off you. At least you'll understand what are the kind of limitations that people would face when they go to your website. One of the other challenges is that a lot of people want to go online and want to start an online business, but they absolutely have no clue how to measure success, or they don't know what they want to achieve. 3-4 years back, when I used to speak to businesses, all they wanted was an online presence. They didn't care, how successful it was. All they wanted is a brochure on the web. Okay, so most people would actually go and design their own website or use some free tools and have an online presence. The challenge with that today is that you do not have that liberty. If you want to have an online presence, you got to make sure that you've ticked all the boxes. Because when someone goes to your website, there's only one impression you can create. You don't have a second chance. So it's really important that you not only have a functional website, you also have a website that makes your customers easy to communicate with you. And believe me, a lot of people just think that, once they get a website, they will keep working on it and hopefully fix it up. The other thing also to understand is that your customers are getting more smarter. They're well educated now. We've gone away from the old way of shopping, where we could simply go on to something like Yellow Pages or go to your website and maybe place an order. Now, before we make a purchase, most people would actually look at product reviews. They would look at, are there any good reviews on your Facebook page and so on. So there's a lot of factors that are actually being a part of a buying process. So selling to, end users is getting more and more complicated, mainly because there's so many things that someone would look at before they say yes to you. We've gone away from sending, 5 inquiries to 5 different companies. We do our study online. We decide which is good. Based on that, we will say, okay, we only send it to these 2 companies. So it's really important that when you have an online presence, you are actually addressing everything from a customer's point of view. And this is what is happening today. Most buyers today literally complete 60% of the buying cycle before they even contact your organization. So they've looked at your website, they looked at how people think about your business on social media, they might have looked at your testimonials, they would have looked at your how to use product and so on. What is also important is that if you're going to go to market and try to sell a product or a service, you first need to understand, what are your potential customers trying to achieve. Most businesses are most websites today are pretty much self-centered to the seller. So a lot of websites you go to, it starts with, what you want to sell. So we literally are not letting people, establish a relationship, or at least get some kind of confidence about your business. So when someone comes to your website, what is important is that they feel, that you understand what their concerns are. You know what troubles they go through and how are you going to address it. No one's just going to come to your website and straight away buy something from you. They need to be convinced that they've come to the right place. So you got to look at your website and say, okay, what are the 5 top things or the 5 challenges that your potential customers face, and can you address that? Or what are your 3 unique selling points of your business? Why should someone consider you compared to competition? Because today your competition is just a click away. If someone comes to your website and within 5 seconds you don't address their concerns, or you don't make them feel that you understand what their issues are and how you're going to solve them, they're just going to hit the back button on the browser and go somewhere else. You don't have a second chance to go and convince them. And the reason why this is happening is because we are so focused on actually telling people what we do and not actually looking at what they want to know. So I think one of the things is, when you look at a website, you got to make sure that you are customer friendly. The next thing is, you need to give a very short overview of what your company is. Either it's your mission statement or what does your company represent. Okay, if you're selling products online or whatever it is, you got to have your top selling products which you think you've got a competition across, a value add. The other thing is all about providing extraordinary services. Okay, nowadays customer service has gone to a total different level. Most businesses today are not trying to not only keep their customers happy, but make them feel that this is a great company to deal with. So how do you actually give someone that feeling that you really have something unique to offer? And almost 70% of businesses or websites actually do not even look at these factors. This is what is important. It's just like, someone walking into a shopping center. If the display window on the shopping center or the store doesn't really show the products or what's unique, no one is going to walk in. So it's really important to address that on your homepage itself. The other thing also is, it's always easy to get ahead of competition if you know exactly what is lacking on their services or what are they achieving from their existing online success. So as a part of your online marketing strategy, one of the things you got to look at is, okay, what is my competition doing? Are they offering something that I don't offer, or can I offer that? Or can I offer something better than what others are offering? And this is how the entire e-commerce industry has evolved. We've gone away from people providing flat shipping costs to free shipping, and now companies are also giving you not only free shipping, but also they're giving you free return shipping as well. So, it's all about, making your customers feel that you need their business. But if you put all those factors together, I think what you got to look at is, what are the three elements of making your website successful? One is, most importantly, coming in front of the right kind of people. You need to understand which are the customers who are going to buy from you. For example, if you're planning to do your search engine optimization of Google AdWords, make sure that you pick up the right kind of keywords. Don't go after keywords which don't actually give you a buying signal. Okay, for instance, there could be a lot of people searching for, free web design. It's no point being on the first page of Google for free web design if you're a web design company, because it clearly tells that the person who's searching for that is looking out for free stuff. You're not going to get any money out of it. The next thing is that, whenever customers come to you, you need to find a way how do you convert them into a paying customer. Okay, getting a lot of traffic to your website is important, but what is also equally important is how do you actually convert them. Okay, because if you don't convert them, then you're not going to really sell a lot. And the other thing, and the most important thing of all these three is, you need to be able to measure your return of investment. You need to look at, what is actually converting, what form of marketing is converting, what is more effective. There are different things you can do. You can do, Google AdWords, you can do search engine optimization, you can do social media, you can do email marketing, and so on. But you have to understand as a business what form of marketing really works better for you. And also, the other thing to look at is that, every website needs to have a landing page. Your customers don't have a lot of time in hand. So if you're going to take them to a specific page, you got to make sure that you are, giving them the right information in a very short format. Okay. 3 years back, everyone was trying to put a lot of content on their website. You speak to any business owner, all they want to do is put more and more content. They felt that the more information we give to our customers, it's better for them. But now things have changed. Now more and more people today are using the internet using a mobile device. Okay, so they don't have much time. So rather than throwing a lot of information on them, maybe it's good to kind of condense them and give them what they really want to know. Show them something that they really want to see, not a lot of things. One of the most important things or tools that you got to use once you launch your website is Google Analytics. Okay. Yes, everyone does install Google Analytics, but the only problem with using Google Analytics is most people don't know what to measure. A lot of times when I speak to businesses and ask them, do you have Google Analytics installed? The answer is yes. Then the next thing I ask them is, how often do you use Google Analytics? And some people say once a week and so on. Then the next thing I ask them exactly, what do you use when you do Google Analytics? Do you do A to B testing, or what do you actually test using Google Analytics? Okay. A lot of people either try to put what you call as a conversion tracking code on their e-commerce store to find out how many sales they got. The fact is that's not the right way to measure success, because you're literally keeping your milestone pretty to the end of the process. You need to establish goals on your website. Maybe someone buying a product from you is the ultimate goal, but there are steps in between. There are steps in how many people get convinced to reach a certain stage, how many people go and actually look at your product, or they look at your terms and conditions, because the only reasons will someone look at your terms and conditions once they are kind of convinced with the product, but they want to make sure that, you know, there's no hidden cost or something like that. So when you set up your Google Analytics, you know, look at setting up goals to measure success. Don't just measure success at the end result. Okay. And a lot of people, you know, tend to log on to Google Analytics and look at this information. Now, this information is good, but it doesn't tell you a lot, you know. Yeah, it's great to look at how many unique visitors you get, or, you know, how much of time they spend on your website, but then these are not the kind of information that will help you understand how well you're doing. Okay, it'll only make you feel good, you know, it'll only make you feel great, I'm getting X amount of visitors, you know, but will it make you understand where you're missing or not? Not really. You got to go a bit deeper than that. Okay, so just having more traffic doesn't mean that you're going to sell more. What's important is to look at, you know, where your customers are coming from, and from whichever source they're coming from, how many of them are converting in terms of, you know, how many goals are they achieving, how many people are going to your contact us page, you know. So maybe, you know, someone who goes onto Google and does a search for your services, comes to your website, might convert better than someone coming through a referral site, or someone coming through, you know, some other links on other websites and so on. So you need to look at slightly deeper into Google Analytics and try to understand, you know, where are they coming from, what's converting for you, and based on that, you know what to work out. You know, you need to set up funnels within your website. You got to find out, okay, how many steps does someone need to take to complete a transaction? The transaction could be a financial transaction, or it could be someone filling in a lead form. You need to define those steps, because that's the best way to find out how many people are actually going through that process. You know, if you don't know that, then you have no clue what's happening on the website. Okay, the stats are important, but what is more important is, are you getting them to go the way you want them to? You know, it's like you have a retail store and you've got, like, you know, 20 different aisles to go through, and there are certain aisles where you make a lot of money or you've got better margins. You really like to know as to how many people reach that place. If that particular, you know, set of products is well hidden in your store, no one is going to find it, then it's going to be a painful process. You got to move that in front, or you got to make sure that you're doing things on a website that guides people to that particular section of your business. So with Google Analytics, you can actually go and do a bit of funnel tracking, try to understand, you know, how many people land up on a specific part of your website, and through that, how many people go to the next level and so on. If you don't know this, you won't know where to address or what's wrong. Sometimes, you know, websites ask for a lot of information, but by the time they reach to the final stage, a customer is really annoyed, tired, and just say, you know, it's too much. Or imagine you go to an e-commerce store, and there's so many steps that are involved that you really do not know when the entire process is going to get completed. So there are a couple of things you need to watch out for when you try to track how your customers are behaving on your website. So if you once you launch your website, then the next challenge is driving a lot of people to your website. But the moment people start coming to your website, you need to find out, are they actually achieving their goals? If they achieve their goals, you achieve yours. One of the other things to really look at is, you need to have a very good resource center. And this is where you start adding, information which are valid to your customers. Customers don't know, they're not really interested in know how good you are. But they really want to know is, do you understand their concerns? Do you know your industry well? Do you think that if they come to you, you will solve the problem? Okay, you got to show them what's your value factor. Why should they move from one service provider to you? So all this needs to be addressed on your website. Because imagine if someone goes to your website at 10 o'clock in the night, they are not there to basically, they can't call you up, but they need to take a decision at that time. So at that point of time, they're looking out for information, and the only information that's there on the website is going to help them decide whether they send you an inquiry or the inquiry goes to someone else. It's really important to understand exactly, what are the factors that are going to make people take a decision on your favor. Okay, every business, you would have 10 most commonly asked questions. When a customer calls you up, they would be asking you the same questions. It's a good thing to maybe put that on the website. Things like, what if you don't deliver the item within 7 days? Or what if my warranty, if I'm out of warranty, what's going to be the cost? So these are the so-called pre-qualifying sales questions. If you can address that on the website, it's just going to help people feel more comfortable dealing with you and maybe filling in their inquiry form. Okay, you got to look at what are the factors that will help people take the right decision, and are you addressing that? Because a lot of times, when I speak to businesses and ask them, they also don't know, and they say maybe it's this or maybe it's that, and guess what? It's not even there on the website. So if you first need to understand why someone should consider you, and the next thing is, how do you make it visible for people to actually see the value that you provide? When customers go to a website, depending upon the kind of business you're into, depending upon the age group of your customers, they look out for a lot of things. Some buyers would like to read blogs of whatever you offer. Some would like to download ebooks. Someone would like to look at case studies, or maybe listen to webinars or interviews or whatever it is. So depending upon the kind of industry you're into, and depending upon how long does your customer take to take a buying decision, you need to have the right kind of information. If you're providing a service where you can convince people better on the phone than on your website, then your call to action is all about getting people to send you an inquiry so that you can do the rest everything on the phone. If you're providing a service where people would do their research online before they send you an inquiry, then you need to have the right kind of information. A lot of websites today are putting in video, which is a great thing, because you can have a video about how to use the product. That video can not only help people understand that how easy the product is to use, but it will also help you to reduce your the number of calls you'll get after someone buys a product, because you would have the videos on your website where people can know how to install a device or whatever it is. So it's really important to have information on your website that will help your customers. A lot of time people just go and keep putting information on their website because their SEO company told them to do that. The fact is that's not really going to help you, because it's just not from a search engine point of view. You also need to be helpful to people coming to your website. So if you're putting any kind of information on your website, don't just do it because your SEO company or someone told you to do it. See whether it's actually going to value add to your business, or will it benefit your customers as well. One of the other factors which actually is becoming an interesting issue now is that Google is giving a lot of importance to your speed of your website. Okay, so it's really important that wherever your website is, it loads up pretty quickly. A good thing to do is maybe have a look at your Google Analytics, see how much of your traffic comes from a mobile device. Then have a look at look at your website on a mobile device. See how quickly does it load. Okay, so you need to understand that the speed at which your website loads today, it affects three different areas of your business. One is when someone is about to buy something. Is the information available for them quickly? Can they easily navigate through your website? The next thing is when they're about to make a purchase. How easy is it for them to call you up? How easy is it for them to fill in an inquiry form or make a purchase? And then finally, after they made a purchase, how easy is it for them to get information? So a lot of times when you get a website design, you just leave it to the web designer to say, okay, you know what, host a website for me. You need to make sure that your website loads quickly and that your website works perfectly fine on all kind of devices, whether it's mobile, desktop, and iPad, and so on. Okay. What is also important is to understand or scan your website regularly for malware. If you're using something like WordPress, Joomla, any of these open source products, there's a high chance that your website is going to get hacked. So it's really important that if you're using any of open source platform, you got to make sure that you're regularly updating your patches, or you're making sure that you're scanning your website for any kind of virus or malware. Now, your hosting provider, some of the hosting providers will do that for you, some may not. But there are tools available where you can actually, prevent your website from getting hacked, or at least making sure that your patches are up to date. So if you do not know where your website is hosted, it's an important thing to ask your web designer. Then do a bit of a load test using some of the Google tools as to how quickly their website loads up. From Google's point of view, if your website is going to take a long time to load, they feel that it's a pretty bad experience. So it's really important that your website loads quickly. If that doesn't happen, people are just going to hit the back button and go somewhere else. So when you look at your website, what would you do on a weekly basis? One of the things you got to look at is that your website is the best salesperson for your business. So you got to look at a couple of things. Okay, do you have good content? How often are you updating your content? Okay, because it's just like when someone comes to your website, and they read the information, if they come back in a month or two and nothing has changed, there's a strong chance they'll not come back again. The people who shop online are the same people who shop offline. So imagine you walk into a store, you look at the display doesn't change for 3 months. Very likely, it's very unlikely you're going to walk into the store again because you assume that the stock is still the same. Okay. The same thing goes with your website. It's really important to measure your progress online. So that means which keywords are you ranking for? Where are a lot of your traffic coming from? Because maybe you're getting a lot of traffic to your website, but they're coming for the wrong kind of keywords. So it goes back into hand in hand with your keyword strategy. You have to keep on checking up what are your potential customers searching for. Your keyword strategy is not a one-time strategy. Your customers' behavior changes, so the kind of keywords they're searching for also changes. So you really need to keep on updating or regularly checking up how do you stand on Google, Yahoo for your keywords. The keywords that you're after, are they the right kind of keywords, and so on. The other thing to look at is, 2 years back you had an option whether you want to be on social media or not. Now you don't have the option. Everyone needs to be on social media. That's because your customers are going to measure your success, your products, or your customer feedback based on social media. So it's really important, even if you're not going to be doing regular posts on social media, you need to be alert on social media so that when someone is actually commenting about your business on social media, you need to be there to actually comment on it or actually react to it. The other thing to constantly keep looking at is your inbound links. See, Google doesn't care what you put on your website, but Google starts giving importance to your business when it feels that the online community or the other websites, blogs, forum are recommending your business. So it's really important to understand, who's linking to your website. Now, a couple of months back, there was an issue where a lot of SEO companies were actually getting bad links for their customers' competitors. So if there's a porn site linking back to your website, it's bad for your business. Now, you need to be constantly up to date as to who's linking back to your website. So if there are some bad links coming to your website, you need to identify them, and you need to go back to Google and say, these links are not my links. I don't want you to see these links as my work, or these are not the kind of recommendations I would like for my business. So Google has recently provided some tools which allow you to disown links. So you can go to Google Webmaster Tools and say to Google that please do not honor these links to my website because I don't think they represent my business, or I don't want them to recommend my business. Okay. The next thing and the most important thing is you constantly look at conversion rates. Okay, now the conversion rates on websites are dropping drastically. If 3 years back, if the regular conversion rates used to be 5%, now it's come down to 2%. Okay, so rather than trying to send double the number of people to your website, you're better off working on your conversion rates to see how you can convert the existing traffic better. Now, this is something which, unfortunately, you can't just leave it to your SEO company only. You got to find a way of, making sure that you are in control of it. You can, a lot of you guys might be outsourcing your SEO to other companies and so on. You got to understand that based on the amount of money you pay them, that's the amount of work they're going to do. So if someone is going to charge you, let's say $200 a month, they're only going to spend around 4 hours working on your website. The question you got to ask yourself, is 4 hours of work enough for your website? Okay, so it all goes in, how much time can you spend? At least do things that the SEO company doesn't do for you. So if you plan to engage an SEO company, you got to ask them what are the things they're going to do. And maybe ask them what are the things you can do from your end to improve the performance. Because you can wait for 6 months, and if you don't get any results from your SEO company, you might just go to a next SEO provider. But the problem is that you not only lost your money for 6 months, you also lost 6 months of your online marketing time. If you've not used Google Webmaster Tools, I strongly recommend using Google Webmaster Tools, because Google Webmaster Tools gives you more information about your website on top of what Google Analytics does. Google Webmaster Tools will tell you if your website gets hacked or if there is any virus on your website. Google Webmaster Tools will tell you which links are linking back to you. It will also tell you if there are any errors on your website. It will also allow you to resubmit your website to Google if you get blacklisted. Not only does it tell you about who's linking to you, it will also tell you, like, in the last 30 days, how many times Google actually displayed your website on search results and how many people actually clicked on it. See, 2-3 years back, everyone wanted to be on the first page of Google. That was the ultimate goal for every business. I want to be number one for what I do. The fact today is that you could be number one for what you do, but still doesn't mean you're going to get all the traffic. So even if you're on the first page of Google for what you do, you got to look at, out of those, being on the first page, how many people actually click on your results. It doesn't mean that if you're number one, you're going to get all the traffic. Nowadays, people are smarter. They know what they're looking out for. So they're going to read at the search listing before they click on a result. So it's really important to understand what your click-through rates are from search results. So Webmaster Tools, again, is for free, and you can easily use that to, measure success. The other thing to also look at is to make sure that Google is in constant, get constant updates from your website, is to roll out an XML sitemap. So every time there's a new page on your website, it's important that Google is made aware of it. And the best way for Google to take notice of it is through your sitemap. So if you're not implemented a sitemap, again, they're for free. You can simply go onto Google and search for XML sitemap and implement your website on your website. The other thing also to look at is Google Plus is basically Google's answer to Facebook. Now, there may not be a lot of people enjoying Google Plus as much as they enjoy Facebook, but if you're looking at from a search engine point of view, Google definitely gives a lot of importance to people with social signals, especially from Google Plus. So maybe Google Plus may not be right now your answer for Facebook. You could still keep using Facebook to keep in touch with your friends. But if you're serious about getting some love from Google, I think you need to look at Google Plus as a part of your online marketing strategy. Again, Google Plus is for free. It's a great thing if you can get people or customers to give reviews on your Google Plus account. Okay, I'm just halfway through the webinar. I just want to check whether, am I still loud and clear? Anyone that I missed out on? Is the mic setting okay? Oh, great, that's good. Wonderful. Okay, so Google Plus is quite important. You really need to find, spend some time to get yourself listed on Google Plus. The next thing you got to look at is there's something called as long-tail keywords. As I said earlier, it's not the quantity of people going to your website, it's the quality of people going to your website. Just like, if you get a phone call into your business, you rather get someone calling up who's a bit qualified rather than someone just, at the start of their buying process. When people go online, they go to different stages. So you need to understand, what's a buying signal or a buying keyword for your business. Okay, there might be 20 people in a day searching for what you do and actually saying that I want to buy the product. Now those are much more qualified than the 200 people who are just researching on the kind of products you offer. So as a keyword strategy for your business, you need to identify what are the keywords which are most searched for, and also look at what keywords tell you that the person is about to take a buying decision. Okay, so as a part of your keyword strategy, you got to make sure that you maintain the balance. It's not the number of searches, it's more to do with the quality of the keywords. So in this particular slide, if you're dealing with shoes and you'd rather of getting someone call you or about red Nike men's running shoe than someone just searching for shoes. So when you look at deciding on which customers you would like to target online, your keyword strategy is one of the key elements, and you need to keep on checking up what keywords are good and so on. If you don't get the right keyword strategy, then your entire online marketing strategy goes for a toss. And as I mentioned earlier, you can actually test your website speed by going to the link that is there on the slide, which is developers.google.com/speed. Google will tell you exactly what it thinks about your website and how quickly your website loads. It will also give you a series of recommendations as to what changes you need to do on your website so that it will load quickly. If you've not done this, I strongly recommend maybe in a day or two, go onto this link, put in your domain name, and look at what Google says. Google will measure your website's speed from a scale of 0 to 10. Anything above 75 is good. Anything below 75 is something that you would need to address to, because that's kind of bad user experience. Now, I'm not sure how many of you will actually run a blog, but running a blog actually has got a couple of benefits. One is that when you run a blog, you're expressing yourself, you're telling people, sharing your knowledge and how good you are in your industry. Okay, so the other thing also is Google understands that blogs get updated on a regular basis. So that's another way of adding more and more content onto your website. If you're selling certain products, you can't keep on changing the product description on a regular basis. But if you're running a blog, you can keep talking about the product, you can keep talking about how to use the product better or what you think and so on. So it's a great way of adding more content to your website. Now, one of the advantages of doing that is that as you keep on adding more and more content, Google is after, fresh content. Google wants more and more information, because if I go to Google and search for something, Google wants to make sure that I get the best results. I get results which are up to date. I don't get results which are like 6 months old. So a lot of people actually run a blog so that they can, some people do it because the SEO company has told them or someone has told them, but you got to look at a blog as a way of reaching out to people, letting people interact with you with your business. So if you have a website, people can't talk to you. If you have a blog, people can still give you suggestions, or they can share their viewpoint and so on. So it becomes kind of a two-way street. What also happens with blogs is that, if you look at some of these stats, they tell you that, the companies that run a blog get more links. So when you get more links, it's another way of telling Google that, there are other businesses out there that feel that you're good because they're linking to you. So getting links to your website is getting more and more painful, and getting quality links is extremely more painful. So when you run a blog, when you have links, not only that you're adding content to your website, maybe automatically people will start sharing what you do and so on. So it's a good way to reach out. And it's also been seen that, if you're going to be blogging regularly, you're going to get more visitors. So if you write something interesting, there's a strong chance a person who read that is either going to come back again in a couple of days to see what's new, or they might share it with, someone, some of their friends and so on. So every website today needs to be shareable on a social media platform. If you got a product, let's say you have an e-commerce store, and I go and look at one of your products, and let's say I like the product, but I would like to share that with a friend of mine, okay, you should give me an option to share that either via email or by Facebook and so on. So it allows you to reach out much more than what you could traditionally do. And not only that, whether you do blogging or whether you do Twitter, it has got a big impact on how you reach. So when you do Twitter, you can tweet about your new blog post and so on, because you're not selling a product. You're sharing information. It's all about educating people. That's what you're gonna get measured at. I mean, if you look at most businesses, whether you're a B2B or a B2C, the biggest challenge for every business today is creating awareness and getting the right kind of traffic. Now, the best way to create awareness and get traffic is to use those social media, tools. Okay, so whether you do Facebook, Twitter, blogging, Pinterest, and so on, they're basically magnets of traffic. That'll help you get traffic. So most businesses, and I think a lot of you would agree with me, is that these are some of the challenges that you have. It's that, how do I drive more traffic to my website? How do I improve my lead generation? How do I use social media for my business? What's the best way to target my customers? So based on this information, you know exactly, what to do. So you've got to make sure that you've got a strategy around that. Okay, now there are a couple of things that we talk about when we look at search engine optimization. Search engine optimization actually falls into two segments. One is what we call as on-page optimization. On-page optimization are things that you are in control of, whereas off-page optimization is things which you are not in control of but are based on external factors. For example, when you talk about on-page optimization, it's about changing your page title, changing your headings, renaming your images and all this stuff. They are on-page optimization. Now, these are things which you can easily do. Okay, the things that you can't do is you cannot, you're not in control of which links that you get for your website Google is going to give importance to, or how are you going to get other people to link to your website. So 3-4 years back, Google used to give a lot of importance to, like, it was 75% on page, 25% off page. Now it's the other way around. It's only 25% on page, 75% off page. So it's not about what you think, it's about what others think about your business is what Google is concerned about. So on-page optimization is important still, but it plays not such big role as it used to some time back. But off-page optimization is something that you really need to work on. You need to find out how do people actually link to you? How do you get people to link to your website? You can offer some people a couple of good tools, good documents, something that will make people come back to you or actually link to your website. I speak to a lot of businesses, and they talk about saying, I'm going to launch my website, I'm going to put up a Facebook page, I'm going to put up a Twitter account, and then I'm going to start messaging on it. But if you actually do that, a lot of times either it's going to backfire or you're not going to get anything in return. So when you look at doing social marketing, there are a couple of things you got to look at. The first step is social media is all about a relationship. It's like you go to a networking event. The moment you go to a networking event, you don't start talking seriously about your business. You try to have a conversation. You talk about in general topics and so on. So the first thing about social media is don't be too serious in social media. When I say serious, I'm not saying you got to be joking, but you got to be pretty lighthearted and start a conversation. The next thing you need to understand is what are you going to be sharing on social media. Okay, I've spoken to a lot of businesses. What they do is they put a calendar, a to-do list on the calendar that every 4 hours they want to write something on Twitter. So they simply go and say something like, it's a bright sunny day today, and so on and so on. So you need to have a proper marketing calendar, what you're going to say on Twitter, which people are going to share. The whole idea of going onto Twitter and Facebook is you want to say something that others will find it interesting, and then they will share that with others. Okay. The other thing also to look at is, it's not just about, doing something on Twitter that people come to your website. Okay. You got to make sure that if you're going to be running a story or you're going to do something on any social media platform, that experience should follow through on your website. You can't just get people to your website and then all of a sudden, they're totally lost. They don't know what they're searching for. Okay, you got to have a good call to action. You need to find out, what you want people to do. So if you're going to be running a competition on social media or you're going to do some kind of a contest, that process should fall through. There has to be something good enough for them to react to it. The other thing is we've got to move away from saying I'm going to do my social media and change the way we are. We've got to be social and not do social. So there's a big difference in how you actually tackle social media. And we have to understand that social media is always a two-way street. It's freedom of speech to your customers. So that's the reason why social media is become powerful, because you're getting an average user to share their businesses, their experience. If you look at social media today, people love social media because it gives them an option to go and share their point of view. So even the biggest of brands today are very cautious in how people talk about them in the social media front. You take the large brands like even Telstra, Optus, Vodafone. They spend a lot of time and effort monitoring social stream, monitoring social media sentiments, and so on. And most important is you always have to add value to your social media activity. So when you create a social media stuff, you got to look at who am I trying to target? What's the target audience? What are you expecting out of them? And if you're going to be doing social media, how are you going to measure success? Any kind of marketing, if you can't measure success, is a waste of time. Okay. The next thing you're going to look at, what are your goals? Some people put their social media goals based on how many Facebook likes they get, or how many links they get, or how many people actually, comment on their Facebook stuff. So you need to really understand what kind of plan you have. There's a link on this presentation which talks about getting some tips about how to create a social media plan. The other thing is to follow a particular calendar of how to do on social media. So you got to look at, there are a couple of things people do on social media. One is you can entertain your customers, you entertain your group, but that's something which you can do once a month. You can share information, you can start a conversation, a weekly conversation, or you can tell people how to do something smarter, and so on. So it's really important that you actually maintain a certain balance of social media. What also you got to understand is that the buyers are changing, and this is quite true, is that nowadays most people don't trust websites, but they trust what people say on social media. So if you look at a company to do a buyer, only 33% of them will actually, trust the website. But having said that, when people start talking about your product on social media, okay, they trust each other. I do a lot of workshops myself in the office for online marketing. The only way I actually reach out to people is through social media. So when I get people into their room and I spend a couple of hours with them, all I tell them is I want them to give me a feedback on social media, because that way, when you give someone a feedback on social media, you actually are attaching your profile to it. So people know what it is. So you don't get fake testimonials so easily on social media. But someone can just say anything on a website testimonial saying so-and-so person said that your services are great. People are really careful about giving someone recommendations on social media. So it's not that easy to get someone to convince them to basically recommend you on social media. But then if you're very good in what you do, if you're given fabulous service, then I think social media is a great way to ask people for testimonials. The other thing you can also look at is, most businesses today do multitasking. So if you're a business owner, you actually are running your business, managing your website, managing your accounts, managing your customers, managing your social media. Now, there are a couple of interesting tools you can use or apps you can use to do your social media a bit more effective. There are tools which can help you manage your social media profile, manage how people are interacting on social media. You can get various tools to understand how people are engaging your brand. You can do certain tools to basically promote your business online. You can use certain tools well allowed to see how people are, reacting to your offers and so on. So there's a lot of things today you can do on social media using some of those social media apps. But one of the key elements is that whatever you do, whether it's your website, your landing page, your Google AdWords, your email marketing, or your Facebook pages, okay, you got to make sure that all of them are social media ready. If I go to your website, let's say, or if someone goes to your website, they should be able to share that on social media. Or if someone goes to your if it's email marketing, you send someone a newsletter. Try to make your newsletter shareable and so on. So any kind of campaign you do, make sure that it's shareable across social channels. One of the other things to look at also is what we call as LinkedIn. Now LinkedIn is more like what they call a professional network, whereas Facebook is a bit more on a personal level. So a lot of business, especially if you are dealing with customers and not consumers, or dealing with businesses more, LinkedIn is again a good way of reaching out to people. So having a LinkedIn company page will help your business. Making sure what you put on LinkedIn also is important. It's a great way of telling people what your company culture is all about. Getting your staff to actually be a part of your conversation on that. It really helps a lot. So LinkedIn itself is a good place to get a lot of traffic as well. Okay. Depending upon what kind of businesses you deal with, you can decide on what form of marketing you want to do, whether you want to do LinkedIn, whether you want to do a company blog, whether you want to do Facebook, Twitter, and so on. So it also depends upon the kind of customers you have. So something like Twitter and Facebook is more relevant to a B2C environment, but something like a LinkedIn could be more to a B2B environment as such. What I'm also going to talk about, just to wrap up of what we said today, is the couple of assumptions that people do about search engine optimization in general. Like first of all, there's absolutely no shortcut to search engine optimization. There are certain companies in the market that can say we'll get you on the first page of Google within 3 months. It doesn't happen that way. You need to understand that there are 3 factors involved when three factors will decide when will you rank high on Google. The first factor is the kind of industry you're into. So if you're into an industry like mortgage, real estate, accommodation, it's going to take a very long time. The next factor depends upon the kind of keyword phrases you want to be ranked for. If you're after generic keywords, it's going to take a very long time. But if you go after a long tail keyword, it could happen quicker. The third factor also is to find out how many people within your industry are trying to optimize your website. There are certain industries or certain businesses where the only sales force is a website, so the competition out there is extremely high. So depending upon that, you need to understand that it's not something that you can launch a website, do SEO, and expect to start selling from day one. My opinion or my recommendation to most businesses is that the moment you launch a website, a good thing to do is to send 500 people to your website. Now you can do that in a couple of days by maybe running an AdWords campaign for the first 500 customers, because that will help you test the market. That will help you understand, do people see value in what you offer? Because if you don't do that and you just depend upon SEO and then wait for 12 months and then realize you've got the wrong offering, it's a total waste of time. So maybe a good thing to do is to run a Google AdWords campaign for a month and see how are people reacting to your business. Are they seeing value in what you offer? What's your conversion rate? What they like, what they don't like about your website. That will help you to further assess your strategy. The next thing is you don't need to have a lot of links. You don't need to go and get thousands of links or get a lot of directories. Those days have gone. So you don't need to spam the web to be popular. You need to identify which websites would add value to your business, which directories would add value to your business, and only work with those. One of the good things to do maybe is to look into competition. Look at who's ranking on the first page of Google for your industry or your keywords, and then try to work backwards and find out where are they getting the links from. Can you get a similar links? Because if it works for them, it will also work for you. Okay. And the other thing also, don't only depend upon SEO. SEO is a part of your online marketing strategy. You got to look at SEO, you got to look at a bit of AdWords, you got to look at social media, you got to look at email marketing and so on. So don't just depend upon one form of marketing, because then if there are changes with, let's say, Google tomorrow, all of a sudden you'll drop your ranking and then you lost all your traffic. Okay, so it's very important that you've got a strategy across multiple platforms, not just one. A lot of times, people do things because the SEO company tells them to do that. You need to understand it. It's just not about the SEO spiders. You also got to think about your customers. Imagine you come on the first page of Google, and when someone goes to your website, the experience that they get is terrible, because all they can see is stuffed keywords and information that doesn't make any sense to them. So don't go overboard thinking about SEO only. You got to think about user experience. You got to think about website usability and so on. People are spending a lot of time on social media. So while you have a website, it's a great thing to have a combination of not only good content in text, but also having videos and so on, good images and so on. More and more people today love to watch videos. They like to listen to stuff rather than read stuff. So the market is changing. The younger generation is getting much more lazier. They don't want to read stuff. They want to listen. They want to see stuff and so on. So you got to make sure that you're having different kinds of content. It also depends upon the kind of industry you're into as well. One more thing is SEO is just not about links. Links is an important part of it, but there are a lot of other things you got to look at. You got to look at, are you asking too many questions? How long is your inquiry form? Do people, do people have to take a lot of trouble to get in touch with you and so on? So don't just focus only on getting backlinks to your website. Look at user experience. Look at how user-friendly your website is and so on. A lot of times people, get into doing the SEO, and all they do is they start typing keywords. You got to understand that not only you need to have a good looking website, you also need to have great content on your website, because that content is something which is going to make people buy from, they're going to buy from you. When someone goes to your website, they don't buy products from you because they like the photograph. They buy it from you because when they read the product description or the service you offer, that makes them take the next step. So make sure that you have, if you're not good in expressing yourself on paper, get a copywriter, get someone to write a couple of pages for your website. Not the entire website, but at least your main call to action, your home page, your call to action page, your point of difference page, It's good to get someone to write. It's like, everyone has got a good a CV, but imagine if you get someone to professionally write a better CV for you. You might get paid a bit more just because you presented yourself much better. Okay, now I'm almost finished off. I managed to finish off within the time allotted to me. What I would also like to say is that you've got my email address. If you want a copy of the presentation, feel free to actually send me an email, and I can send you a copy or also answer your questions. One of the other things that I would like to share is starting from this year, we actually are doing workshops within our office in Sydney. So I do like a 4-hour workshop where I get around 20 businesses into the office. I look at everyone's website and I tell them what's wrong. Get other businesses in the room to comment about what they think about your website. And in 4 hours, I actually tell you how to do your own search engine optimization and social media. If you are on a self-learning curve and you would like to rather, learn about search engine optimization, online marketing on your own, you can actually sign up for this workshop. These workshops would be held once every 2 months. I can only fit in 20 people, and it's priced at $199. You can see that on the website. If you have any other specific questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I can either then send you an email back with a reply or maybe give you a call. Before I go, what I would also like to do is, how many of you actually use social media, things like Facebook? How many of you use Facebook? Do a lot of you guys use Facebook on a daily basis? Okay, so I'm going to finish off with a video which shows about how does Facebook look on real life. So maybe something just to a bit
Hi guys, can I
listening to before
friend?
I sign off.
Hi guys, can I write on your wall?
No.
Will you be my friend? But I write on all my friends' walls.
I think I'd have to know you before I was your friend.
All my friends have got like 180 friends. I've only got 2.
Yeah.
Would it help if maybe like you looked at my photos? That one's with 2 like really pretty girls. Like that's my ex. I was in a relationship with her, but I've changed my status now. Yeah. I've changed my status now. Yeah. What's your relationship status?
Single.
Oh, good. Cool. I like that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Good.
I like your jacket.
Thank you.
I like your sunglasses.
Yeah.
I like your jacket. Do you like that?
Yeah.
Do you want to comment on it? I like your Ray-Bans. Could I poke you? Poke? Poke? No?
No.
What, poke? What, you want to poke?
Can I poke you?
Yeah, you can poke me if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, how much? No, dude, seriously, just be my friend. If I just show you these pictures in this photo album. Be my friend. If I just show you these pictures in this photo album. What's your name on Twitter?
Mark de Libo.
Oh, so you use Twitter?
Yes.
I'm going to follow you.
Okay.
Cool. Well, I'm going to follow you.
Right, okay.
Wicked, cool.
Right.
All right, thanks a lot. Nice one. Thanks,
Okay.
guys. Yeah. Wicked. Bye. Cheers. Wicked. Bye. All right, thank you. That's great. Wicked. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you. Great. Wicked. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Oh, you're actually following me.
I'm following you.
Should we go?
Okay.
Okay.
Should we go or? Okay. Should we go or?
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As I said, if you would like to get some more information, feel free to send me an email, and also have a look at the resources page for workshops, because that will tell you if you want to learn on your own. You can save a lot of money. We're doing one in Sydney this month, and I would be doing one in Melbourne next month. As I said, I would only have around 20 people in the room. So I can assure you that in 4 hours time I can teach you about online marketing, which could take you maybe a month to learn about. I'll be sharing a lot of tools as to how to use, do your research online, how to test their website, how to look into competition, and if anything else you need, just shoot us an email. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time.